have that ultimate speed to come out from behind him. Once you come, it's easy to come out from the wheel of a sprinter who's going at top speed, Sean, and it looks as though you're going to come past them, doesn't it? Because you have that slight pocket of air, that slingshot effect where you have extra speed to go past them, but you can get up to sort of beside them or halfway up the wheel, and as soon as you're in your own air that you've got to push, then it becomes a lot more difficult.
Yes, and we see, you know, the head-on shot at the finish. We can see a rider's leading, and then the one in his slipstream is there for a moment, and then he just goes for it. He comes quickly, and it looks like he's going to overtake him. And the head-on shot, you know, it gives the impression that he's actually passing him, but he's still a wheel off the rider who was originally leading. And then when you get into that drafting, you know, it starts to hit you. It's difficult to come by, unless you know, you are really strong and the one in front is starting to tire big time. But again, if it's a real strong one and a real powerful sprinter, well, then sometimes they can hold on. So sometimes it works to be on the front, and if you have got the power and you can, you know, go for that 180 metres. And I suppose when you look at sprints, Cavendish is the man where they'll be all fighting for the wheel, but when he goes at that 180 metres to the finish, he's so explosive, it's very rarely that anybody can overtake him.
Not today, sadly. I won't tell you the result of the Tour of Britain today, but if you wanted to watch it later on or catch up with it, Cavendish and Wiggins both riding in the Tour of Britain. At the moment, it's Liquigas doing the lead-out work here. One big long line, keeping the pace high enough so they can control at the front of the race. And Argos Shimano say thanks very much, you get on with it. Now we'll start to bring our man John Degenkolb to the front. Simon Clark is now riding close to the front to try and bring Alan Davis up. Ooh, look on the left-hand side of your screen, Orica Green Edge trying to find their way through, snake their way through to get onto the wheels of Liquigas. Davis not quite in the right position at the moment. Degenkolb is on the right-hand side of your screen in the white with the lime green end caps to the sleeves. That is Argos Shimano. Liquigas are good at doing this. Mind you, so Sky, whoops, get caught up on the inside of the corner there. Sky did a lot of the work to bring the breakaway back, and now they let the other sprinters teams do their work here. Inside the last kilometre, on the far right-hand side, you can see Daniele Banati's moved into the centre of the shot now, in the black, behind John Degenkolb. Alan Davis is in his slipstream. Elia Viviani is sitting behind Daniele Banati at the moment. Actually, Alejandro Valverde staying close towards the front as well, keeping things out of the way. Ben Swift is a little bit boxed in on the right-hand side. He's got Ian Stannard in front of him in the white jersey with the bands of British champion. Now the gap opens up, and Swift can move up on the shoulder of Stannard, but he's a long way back at the moment. And now they're driving for the line. Kern de Court giving it everything he possibly can with Degenkolb behind him. Degenkolb goes for the sprint with Banati in his wheel. Elia Viviani and then Alan Davis. Swift is well out of this one. Viviani coming over to the right-hand side of your screen. Banati through the middle. Viviani gets it, or is it Degenkolb again? John Degenkolb gets another win. He takes 5. Viviani tried hard by moving over to the left-hand side of the road, but he couldn't get it. It's the super sprinter of the Vuelta, John Degenkolb, who takes it. Alberto Contador comes over the line as winner of the Vuelta a España. Alejandro Valverde is second. Joaquim Rodriguez is third. Another great win by Degenkolb. The sprint not super fast though, Sean. No,
again, we have seen it in the past number of days. The sprint, it seems to be difficult in that final couple of 100 metres, but Argos Shimano doing a real good job, and we could see there they had Degenkolb in the position that when he is in, he's such a difficult man to beat. And Koen de Kort was the the final lead out man, and Degenkolb again, you can see he has the speed, but also he's a big, powerful rider. And with Banati in the wheel, he was in a perfect position, but really not able to challenge him. And Viviani coming very quickly, but nobody fast enough to overcome Degenkolb in the final 15-20 metres.
Alberto Contador is the winner of the Vuelta a España in 2012. Paolo Tiralongo coming over to congratulate him. Second, Alejandro Valverde at 1 minute, it's 1 minute 16. Third, Joaquim Rodriguez at 1:37. Rodriguez does go home with the points jersey, despite a late charge by John Degenkolb. He's well safe in that at the moment, Joaquim Rodriguez. He also takes the combined jersey as well with 7 points plays. Alejandro Valverde's 9. Simon Clark is the mountains classification winner, and a brilliant win it is. Here we go, Degenkolb. It's a straight out drag strip here. Viviani coming at Daniele Benati, goes past him, but in the end it's a long way to go. Alan Davis misses out once more. Benati is third. It's a half a bike length that John Degenkolb has over Elia Viviani, and he was the man who was sprinting at the front show. He had nobody to come out from, so it just shows how strong Degenkolb is here.
Yes, again proving that he was by far the strongest, and taking it up. And the team, when they take him to that point inside the final 200 meters, then he is difficult to beat. And once again, the strongest, the better sprinter in this race, as we can see Valverde sprinting very much to the front.
Well, I was saying that Joaquim Rodriguez will get the points jersey, but I don't think he has. I think Valverde may have stolen it.
Yes, we can see that he was looking around as well to see where Rodriguez was, and we could see the final 200 meters, 300 meters before the finish. Valverde was very much to the fore there, and the reason being so tight in the point jersey classification.
Well, we have to get the confirmation of where Valverde is in relation to Rodriguez, but Valverde certainly not far off the front there. And that would mean that this morning Joaquim Rodriguez had 193 points overall. Valverde had 189, and I think Alejandro Valverde, yes, 6th spot there. I think he will overtake Joaquim Rodriguez and take the points jersey. That's a bitter pill for them.
Yes, he does.
12, well, he'll get 12 points, I think, or 10. 10 points. So he will take that, and Rodriguez loses that on the last day. Has to put himself in the white.
For sure not. For sure not. That's yeah, amazing, just amazing, and I'm really, I cannot find the right words. Maybe there are no words for that, and wow, just I'm done.
For your confidence, how does it mean this fight one, and this Vuelta a España in general?
It's really unbelievable, because there was now a lot of pressure on us. We made one sprint not that good, and didn't find each other 3 days ago, and now we are so happy that we could make such a performance. I think we showed that we are really high-end level of sprint lead out, and that's it.
And for you personally?
Just satisfied, really 100% satisfied, and there's no better way to go home now.
What is the first objective? The next objective, sorry?
At first, a few glasses of beer and champagne this night, and then I will enjoy 1 week rest at home, going for one race in France, and then the World Championship.
So enjoy the party and congratulations.
Thank you.
John Degenkolb. All together now after 3. 1, 2, 3. Yeah! Marvellous. He's always smiling though, Sean, isn't he? He never seems unhappy.
No, certainly not. And we've seen some of the interviews we've had with him early morning at breakfast. He is still happy, and it will be interesting to see World Championships, because the form he's in, how he will perform in the World Championships on a difficult circuit, but he's really riding at a real great shape.
A few glasses of beer and champagne tonight. There we go, general classification, then this is it. Alejandro Valverde has to settle for second, although he may well have taken the points jersey. Alberto Contador wins. Valverde gets second, Rodriguez in third. Battling performance by Chris Froome to stay in fourth, ahead of Daniel Moreno, who was sneaking up on him day by day. Magnificent view over Madrid. We've had fantastic weather, haven't we, Sean? All the way through this Vuelta.
Yes, well, it's been just really good weather. In the beginning, the first week, of course, the conditions a bit too warm, but after that, it has been really perfect conditions. And it's the time of year as well that the riders, if they get horrible wet conditions, they can lose their morale a bit quickly, because getting tired, and certainly was perfect conditions in the last 10 days, 2 weeks.
Degenkolb on the left, Viviani on the right. Looks close there. It's a half a bike length, and Degenkolb led the sprint from the front. Valverde looking around himself, around his left shoulder to see where Joaquim Rodriguez was. Wasn't even challenging Sean. He wasn't even trying Rodriguez. He was just wheeling in.
Yes, well, of course, Rodriguez a bit more difficult on a flat stage sprint, and Valverde the better one. And we can see Valverde, when he has to do it, he can really get up there and get, into the top 5 or 6 in the stage. A real good performance by him when he was fighting big time to try and win the points classification.
I think it'll tie. They might well tie on the combined jersey as well. In terms of points, that'll make it interesting. That'll be on count back. There's our winner of the Vuelta a España. Alberto Contador takes the red jersey all the way into Madrid, having taken a magnificent stage win in Fuente Day, tactically wonderful, and taken the red jersey off the shoulders of Joaquim Rodriguez. It's been a funny last few days for Rodriguez, Sean. He now loses the points jersey as well, and I've got to say, it's he almost seemed to have thrown in the towel for me. But yesterday was a last flourish, but sometimes he sounded as though he was resigned to it. Yes,
and he did after losing the race leadership the following day in the interviews. He seemed very relaxed, and if you're not in good shape on the day and you're suffering all day during the stage, well, then it's coming for a number of hours. And it was in the final 45 kilometers that Contador really, gave him a difficult time, went in the attack, and he wasn't able to respond. So as a rider, you can feel that this is going to be a very difficult day for me, and I think that was the problem. After the rest day, sometimes the body has a reaction. You don't feel as good, because he was impressive in the days leading into the final rest day on Tuesday. But for some reason hasn't been performing as well. But yesterday he put in a big battle again, going in the attack, and of course in the sprint today it's really difficult for Rodriguez in a flat finish in a sprint. He's not really good at that type of sprint.
Incidentally, if you're watching on Eurosport International, that's outside of the UK, myself and Graham Jones will be in the commentary seats for the Tour of Britain Stage 2 tomorrow at 14:15 CET. 14:15 CET with myself and Graham Jones for the Tour of Britain Stage 2. If you're in the UK, I'm afraid we don't have the rights to show it in the UK. You'll have to go to our brethren on another channel. Alberto Contador happy with his win, Sean. Not sure about his hand gesturing, but we don't know. He seemed to be suggesting that he's won 7 tours now, which is not quite right.
Did you see that? I was also looking there. He gave the signal with the 7 fingers, so an interesting one.
Who knows? Could just be putting his hand up. There's Viviani on the left-hand side in the lime green of Liquigas. Tried his hardest, gets second spot. That'll go down in his Palmares as second in a stage in the Vuelta, but it's John Degenkolb who's the man of the moment. It will be interesting to see what happens in the World Championships, actually. He can get over the lumpy stuff, Degenkolb, Sean.
Yes, he sure can, and he proved in this race in the final of some of the stages. He did talk about that the team got a little bit disorganised, which was on Friday's stage where we see Philippe Gilbert winning and we see Nicholas Roach going in the attack in the very final, and Degenkolb was very much in that small group, slipped away in the final 2 or 3 kilometres, but it was of course a difficult one for a team to control at this point in the race when a lot of the riders are starting to suffer with fatigue. But the Wolves will be a real interesting one, because he is in the best shape of his life, but can he do the distance, the 260k? That will be the problem. He can get over the style of parkour for the World Championship in Valkenburg, but I'm afraid that 260 kilometres might be 40 kilometres too far.
Well, he's had 2 sets of podium places in the under-23, showing his consistency, Sean. Didn't manage to pull off the big one, but he's now matured.
Well, under 23, we must remember as well the distance is.
Well, exactly. I'm talking about maturing.
Yes, and it is going to be, an interesting one. I think we could see him very much up there in the final, the way the form is at the moment. But again, the riders that perform at World Championships, most of them we always see him in the classics, and when I mean the classics, the big ones, which are the 250, 260 kilometres.
And that's what we'll be looking at in terms of distance for the World Championships, which incidentally begin next Sunday here on Eurosport International, and of course British Eurosport as well. We're covering the men's team time trial as our first event, the reintroduced team time trial, this time for trade teams rather than national teams, which is an interesting departure. More about that when we arrive at the World Championships, and maybe next week I'll discuss it with Graham Jones. Just looking back at the result of today, there we go. Degenkolb, Viviani, Bernati and Davis. We could see Coldo Fernandez up there for Garmin. Not to mention him, Alejandro Valverde getting 6th spot and 10 points in the points competition. Gert Steegmans being beaten by Valverde. Zdenek Stibar up there as well, probably leading out Gert Steegmans. Ray Kreda of Garmin and Gorka Vertigo up there. Vertigo has had a terrific Tour of Spain, Sean. Never have imagined that he would be this far up the general classification, and finishing off with a flourish.
Yes, and I suppose, giving it everything there and staying up close in the final, and hoping maybe that there might be some problem with the big sprinters, possibly a crash. And if you're in a real good position there in the top 15 riders, well, then you never know what can happen. I think that's what he was thinking. And of course, Esquetel, not a good tour for them, not getting a stage victory, although Anton still up there in the general classification. Their home race, they would have loved to get a stage victory, and last year they managed to get victories, stage victories, and this year unfortunately not for them.
Down on Madrid, it was the host of the World Championships. I think the first World Championships I did a number of years ago now. Tom Bonen the winner on that occasion. There was a little drag up towards the finish. They ran streaming down one side of the road. Almost a dead turn at the bottom and an uphill sprint. Very slight uphill sprint, but it was a good World Championships for Tom Bonen. Not so good for Britain's Nicole Cook. She was beaten, and she was so frustrated. She burst into tears afterwards. Beaten by the Germans we were on that occasion. Just waiting the podiums now for the winners of the jerseys here in the 67th Vuelta a España. Best Vuelta you've seen for a while, Sean?
Yes, it has been the certainly the best Vuelta that I think I've seen for a long time. I cannot remember a one which was exciting. And when you look at, for the points classification, the way it has been working out, the mountain classification, we see Simon Clark, the way he's had to battle and try and take that on the very penultimate day in the mountain stage. And the general classification, of course, it was just a battle all the way for 3 weeks. So for me, it has been, the best vuelta, I would say, that I have seen for many years.
Pretty much the best vuelta that a lot of us have seen for many years. Although I love the race, it's been a very much a northern Spanish race, the heartlands of Spanish cycling. Next up, by the way, is the US Open live here on Eurosport. Covering the US Open it's been suffering from a lot of rain delays, but as you can see, play is fine. It's Ferrer who's just taken the second set in his match there, and we will be going live to the US Open directly after our podiums here. John Degenkolb wins the stage that every sprinter would like to win in the Vuelta. Certainly the last one. It's an important thing, isn't it, to win that last one, Sean, usually in the capital city?
Yes, it's always very important for the sprinters to win the final one. And when you're such a dominant sprinter, you always try and win the final one of the race. And it's worked out for Degenkolb, and getting to 5 stages. At this time, many years ago, we did talk about Martins, but again, I think when you look at the field here, and there was quite a lot of good sprinters in this race, to get 5 stage victories, it's a huge performance by him.
Good crowds all the way along the Vuelta a España. A lot of people coming out to watch. I think that's partly a consequence, as Sean was saying, of it being in the north of Spain this year. And it is the heartland of Spanish cycling. It's where the Vuelta a España historically started. Degenkolb's enjoying every moment of this. Can't say I blame him. He's been having a magnificent Vuelta a España. He's lost a couple of kilos as well, Sean. He's looking very lean of face.
Yes, this race has done him a bit of good, because I reckon carrying it a little bit as a sprinter, and as they do, you can be carrying that bit, but still, be very competitive in the sprint. And I think in the final week we have seen him in some of the difficult stages, very much in the front end of the peloton, when there was already 50, 60 plus riders dropped out, and he was still there in the top 30 places, and that shows that he's lost a bit of weight, and that helps a lot when you have a undulating terrain.
You're looking down onto Madrid underneath the board. Degenkolb and Viviani, the first two, then Benati and Alan Davis missing out all the time. Incidentally, we didn't get time to talk about it, but the race comes up and down the Grande Via, the big street that it came flying down for 10 laps. Fantastic architecture. Alberto Contador, winner of the Vuelta a España. He's been on this top step of the podium before, but having come back from a truncated 2-year suspension, which he himself has vehemently denied. Only had 6 months off the bike, but actually, Sean, in competitive terms, 6 months off the bike can be a great deal. It doesn't matter how much you train, it ain't racing.
No, it's difficult to keep that level that you need for racing, and some riders can do it pretty well. They can train real well, but you have to train, very, very seriously, and you can get back into that level of racing quite quickly. Other riders, it takes a longer time, it takes a number of weeks to get back. And we see when guys get injured, of course, they break a collarbone, they're out for a number of weeks. When they come back, they need 2 or 3 weeks of racing before they get back into real good shape again. So that is something you naturally have in Contador. We've seen him in the past. He can come from not racing a lot to be at that real high level.
Overall winner then of the Vuelta a España, Alberto Contador. And he has to do the signing of jerseys and the signing of our camera. Certainly a happy man. Just one more reminder of the general classification: Contador, Valverde, Rodriguez, and a battling fourth place for Chris Froome. He'll be back. Tell you what, Sean, you should now look at tomorrow as being the first day to look forward to the next Tour de France, I would imagine, Chris Froome.
Yes, I think you know, he will, as he said in his interview. He said that he knows going to take a lot from this race, being a leader of the team and doing 2 big tours. So he will go away and, you know, study that, and with the team you can be sure they will be looking at that. And it'll be interesting to see, as I say, will he do two big tours in the same year again, or will he just concentrate and, you know, really just do a big result in one?
I would suggest that he will, in fact, just wait on the one. Simon Clark sealed that mountains classification yesterday with a wonderful ride. One, of course, into Estación de Valdezcaray for his first win of the season, and has managed to have he always comes good at the end of the season, that is for sure. And he's not a bad sprinter either, you know, Simon Clark. I think he's a fantastic all-rounder. Interesting to see where he goes from here, Sean, because sometimes you can take a victory in a mountains classification like this, as say Anthony Charteau did a couple of years ago, or a combativity award like Ahmed Cheruka, and you're never quite sure where it's going to lead.
Yes, well, that's something we've seen.